A new tropical cyclone forming off the coast of China on today's Tropical Weather Bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for May 30th. Well, we're very close to the end of the month now. We have Tropical Storm Ewiniar, which is fading very fast near the coast of Japan, and a new arrival by the looks of things in the South China Sea, an area of interest that's on the verge of becoming a tropical cyclone, may already be one by the time this goes out. It is just 2 days until Atlantic hurricane season begins, and there's no areas of interest to watch right now. One or two rumblings in the longer range, but as of the current time, this is what it's looking like, with a few thunderstorms blowing up, severe thunderstorms across the central plains of the US and one or two along the coast. Day 16 of hurricane season in the eastern Pacific, and there's a little thunderstorm off the coast of Guatemala, but when we're reduced to calling out thunderstorms here, you can tell there's very little to track. No areas of interest over the next 7 days, and we're not expecting that to change. In the western Pacific then, we've got Tropical Storm Ewiniar, which is looking very poor now and is about to become a remnant low, I would imagine. An area of interest there at 90%, although it's probably going to be declared a tropical cyclone in a fairly short order. In the North Indian Ocean, nothing going on here. There's a little disturbance off the west coast of India, which might produce some rainfall and some thunderstorms blowing up further east as well. One or two little things blowing up in the late part of the day there. But overall, a quiet picture. In the southwest Indian Ocean, we have that area of interest there. You saw it before the number came up, looking quite decent really. 30% chance on it because it's pretty much near its peak, and so if it's not formed so far, it doesn't look like it's going to, but we'll wait and see. Well, let's take a look at Ewiniar's position then, what's left of it. It's 424 kilometers from Aogashima, 480 from Hachijojima, 536 from Wakayama, 575 from Hamamatsu, and 731 from Tokyo. Gale warnings in effect for eastern Chiba and the Itsu Islands, which a lot of those, the first two locations, definitely are part of. Well, it's only around 40 miles per hour at this point, and an estimated pressure of 997 millibars. At this rate, it will be overtaken by Invest 94W, the one in the South China Sea, fairly soon. Let's take a look at satellite imagery of it then. Ewiniar looking very poor indeed. You just saw those late visibles there of the circulation, the low-level circulation moving off northeastwards, but all of the convection has died off. Is it a bit silly to still call it a tropical storm at this point? Possibly, but still convection, a little bit of convection to the east, and obviously it'll be holding on to a lot of that wind with the lag from its previous peak. There's some better imagery from the Force 13 website. You can take a look at this live, force13.com/satellite, and you can also take a look on our automated stream, which is running right now, looking at every system that's currently active around the world. Well, there it is. Not too much else to tell you about Ewiniar as we look through this imagery. The center is in between all of that cloud and is slowly heading towards Japan. There's some precipitation views there, a little bit of heavy precipitation on the eastern side of the storm center. And that's a quick cursory look at radar. There's doesn't go out that far, but you can see just on the northern side a little bit of rainfall near Japan. Now here is the other area of interest, which I have to say has looked much better in just the last couple of hours. The rotation has gotten much improved there, and it would appear as though this is almost, or in fact possibly is, a tropical cyclone. 35 mile per hour winds right now, an estimated pressure of 999 millibars. It will end up turning maybe a little bit northwestwards, could strike Hainan Island and then move northwards towards the rest of the coast of China, or it may move slightly further east and go on to affect Hong Kong and Macau. Either way, it's going to be a fairly broad system, and it could deliver tropical storm force winds to a fairly large area. We don't expect it to become a typhoon, but we think it will probably become a moderate tropical storm with around winds of about 50 miles per hour or thereabouts, 80 kilometers per hour. Certainly that's what we should be prepared for along the coast of those locations there. There's a quick look at that southwest Indian Ocean system as well. Not looking too bad. It's lacking a bit of rotation and convection is a bit flimsy too. There's a big storm over in northern Texas on the GOES 16 rapid scan right now. I think that was GOES 16. And this is the wide view of the eastern United States and the western Atlantic there, with a few storms off the coast not far from Bermuda. In the Caribbean, it's looking like this. A significant area of thunderstorms there off the coast of Nicaragua down into the southwest Caribbean Sea. And this is the eastern Atlantic off the coast of Africa. Not too much going on here. There was a big thunderstorm there yesterday. Well, that's obviously died off. Eastern Pacific, there is a little area of thunderstorms there off Guatemala that looks interesting, but really nothing much to talk about here. Western Pacific, Philippine Sea area looks like this. Not too much going on here. Of course, it's the South China Sea on the other side that's got all of that cloud cover in relation to this new forming cyclone, and the North Indian Ocean looking relatively calm, a bit of monsoonal activity to the east, and the Arabian Sea throwing up a bit of that as well. You saw that off the coast of India, but also an area off the coast of Oman producing significant showers, but looks like that's waning just now as well. So the Eastern Pacific temperatures look like this, up to about 30 degrees or maybe 32 degrees Celsius in one or two spots there off the southern coast of Mexico. You'll also note the 26 degree isotherms now nearly extend to Hawaii. This is the Atlantic. You can see significant areas of temperatures over 30 degrees Celsius all across southern Florida, through the Bahamas, Cuba, down towards Central America. Loop current looking good as well. Western Pacific, high temperatures here, 30 to 31 degrees Celsius. South China Sea, temperatures looking decent there as well, although where that system is, temperatures will drop off quite a bit. They're not quite there yet up near Hong Kong. 26 degrees though. And the Bay of Bengal still looking decent even after Cyclone Ramal in the last week, up to 31 or 32 degrees Celsius in one or two spots. Arabian Sea obviously looking good there as well. Southwest Indian Ocean for that potential system, chances still looking interesting. It could just pop up and become a brief tropical cyclone. Temperatures are certainly good enough for it, and they will be rising soon. And off the coast of Australia, temperatures certainly decreasing there as well and falling apart a little bit more, but still a few spots of 28 degrees Celsius. Gulf of Carpentaria nearly as much as well. South Pacific, you can see here temperatures still looking decent in the upper reaches of Vanuatu and in northern Fiji, but further south, forget it. It's pretty much over there, and of course there's no storms here now either. It's off season. Well, compared to average, the Atlantic is very much above average there, 3 degrees above average in quite a few spots there. Eastern Pacific also, it's spreading into there in the very areas off the coast of Central America. It's still a cool spot there in the northern reaches of the Eastern Pacific. Westpac looking pretty decent, best areas in the South China Sea. Bay of Bengal is near average now actually, and the Arabian Sea is above. Oceanic heat content is still looking decent in the Eastern Pacific, certainly better than what we've seen in the last couple of years at this stage. In the Western Pacific also still looking good too. South China Sea has a little bit of catching up to do though, as it is often the case at this time of year, but still a fairly decent value where that invest is right now. In the Atlantic, very high OHC off the coast of Jamaica towards Central America, and that plunges into the Gulf of Mexico as well via the loop current. Other warm spots there are to the south of Puerto Rico and to the east of the Lesser Antilles. Well, let's take a look at what the models have to offer then. This is the GFS for the next 5 days. Ewiniar moving off towards the northeast there quickly. Looks like it strengthens as it turns post-tropical. Then we've got the other system that makes landfall just east of the Leizhou Peninsula in China. That's well towards the west of Hong Kong, Macau area. And you can see it there forming again, becoming a tropical storm very quickly and getting quite strong there too. But then we follow Ewiniar, what's left of it. There's an extratropical low there, quite a strong extratropical storm actually, and it makes way towards the US East Coast, West Coast, oh goodness me, the Pacific Northwest and Atlantic, Pacific Canada. What's going on with me? Now this is the Southwest Indian Ocean, looking at this potential system there as well. GFS not very fond of it, but generally models do have the possibility of it becoming a tropical depression. Will it become a tropical storm? It looks rather unlikely at this point, but you can just never be sure because models always regularly fail to catch brief spurts of intensification that could just push it to tropical storm status for a brief period. Keep watching it. Now this is the Western Pacific, looking at rainfall expectations for the whole area, and we are expecting extremely high rainfall where Invest 94 is right now, thankfully out at sea, but we could be looking at rainfall of above 40 inches there, which is 500 millimeters. Monsoonal rainfall over Myanmar could produce very high amounts there as well in the next 7 days, again up to 24 inches, 600 millimeters. Along the coast of China there, 11 inches expected, that's nearly 300 millimeters. And in Japan, from Ewiniar, could get 6 inches there, that's 150 millimeters there. Well, in the longer range, day 5 to 10, we are actually looking at the Atlantic. There is a system that tries to develop into a tropical cyclone. There it is, and it might well succeed later on in that 10-day period. Off it goes northeastwards. It struggles at first, but later on it does get a little bit more traction and manages to clear off a circulation and probably becomes a tropical cyclone there for a brief period. Not at the early stages of it, at that later stage is probably where it would be, but it would be short-lived. And out at sea, I may add. In the West Pacific then, looking at the South China Sea again, I think, for the first to second week of June. A little system there in the Gulf of Tonkin that you can see, and then another big system trying to form in the South China Sea, and maybe a third system just wandering off through the East China Sea there, possibly remnants of 94W, moving off towards the east eventually. Not sure whether that will happen. No, that's actually a different system, forms off Taiwan, but the main focus is that larger system there. So a lot going on in the next couple of weeks, possibly. Scan the barcode and that will take you through to the Force 13 merch store, where you can take a look at all of our products as well as our full season and individual storm animations and our Still Waiting for Hone t-shirts, all available. Well, in the silly range, could the Eastern Pacific finally get going? It botched its chance a couple of weeks ago to have a storm, but maybe it's going to be this one. It's a brief system there that makes landfall. I think that's in Guerrero, and then dies off very quickly, so not too much to talk about with that, but I would say a very low chance, especially since it's not much chance that's been given to it, and that's in the very long range. So we'll keep watching, but I would say that's very unlikely, and the Eastern Pacific starts off quiet. Western Pacific, we've got this crazy stuff going on again, another enormous tropical cyclone moving through towards China, and then a system in the Bay of Bengal again that tries to get itself going there, tries to seal off a circulation. I think it manages it just as it makes landfall on the coast of Bangladesh, so it could be another system for that area, another sloppy one, but large. And with these large systems, they can produce strong winds and very heavy rainfall. Of course, we already know that Ramal did kill 54 at least from that storm, so another one would not be welcome. Well, on this day 2 years ago, can you believe it's been that long already since we had Hurricane Agatha, which gave us a little bit of a run around as it moved northeastwards towards the coast of Mexico, a relatively unusual track, although it has happened before, and it made landfall near peak intensity at Category 2 status along the coast right there, depicted on that fantastic satellite imagery. Agatha peaked as a 110 mile per hour Category 2, it would have been on the 29th, and reached its secondary peak today at 105 miles an hour. Well then, back to today, and we're still waiting for the first names in the Western Hemisphere, the Atlantic, Alberto, Eastern Pacific, Aletta, and in the Central Pacific we are indeed still waiting for Hone. 19 storms so far this year, which puts us quite a way below average. We're code blue for both of the current active systems, Ewiniar, and the next name is Maliksi in the North Indian Ocean. The next name now is Asna. For those wondering, Ewiniar did peak as a Category 2 when it was off the coast of the Philippines a few days ago. In the Southern Hemisphere, the next name in Australia is Robin. In the Southwest Indian Ocean, it's Jeremy. And in the South Pacific, it's Pitta. That's it from today's Tropical Weather Bulletin. We'll see you again tomorrow. Become an Ultimate Fan today.